If you're seeing this right now, there's a reason. Your consciousness has been drawn to these exact words at this precise moment. What I'm about to share isn't just another manifestation technique or spiritual philosophy. This is the one quantum law that quietly governs every outcome in your reality. And yet it remains completely invisible to 99% of humanity. Here's what makes this moment so significant. The fact that you're here, right now, means you've already demonstrated the exact frequency that allows this law to reveal itself to you. Take a slow breath and just notice something. There's a quality to your awareness right now that's different from your usual state. You can feel it, can't you? That slight shift in perception, that sense that something important is about to click into place. That's not coincidence. That's your quantum field recognizing itself in these words, preparing to remember something it has always known, but temporarily forgot in the process of becoming human and entering physical form. Now let's name what's actually happening here. This truth has been hiding in plain sight throughout human history. Ancient mystery schools encoded it in symbols and initiation rituals. Quantum physicists stumble across it in their equations and experiments. Mystics touch it in their deepest meditations. But almost nobody has connected these pieces into a clear, practical framework that you can actually apply to your daily life. Until this moment. Here is the quantum law that changes everything. Reality does not respond to what you want. It does not respond to what you believe. It does not even respond to what you visualize. Reality responds exclusively to what you are at the quantum frequency level. Let that land for a moment. Everything you've been taught about manifestation, creating your reality, and the law of attraction has been missing this one critical element. You've been trying to broadcast signals to the universe with your thoughts and emotions, assuming it's listening the way a human listens. But the universe doesn't receive those signals in the way you think it does. The universe is not listening to your words, your affirmations, or your vision boards. The universe is reading your quantum signature, the electromagnetic frequency pattern your entire being broadcasts in every moment. And here's the part almost no one talks about. Your quantum signature is not determined by what you consciously think, it's determined by what you unconsciously are. Scientists at the HeartMath Institute discovered something extraordinary that most of mainstream science quietly ignores. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends around 8 to 10 feet from your body in every direction. This field carries information, and it is being read by every person, animal, plant, and even the subtle quantum probability fields that surround you. But here is where it becomes truly profound. This field is not broadcasting your conscious intentions. It is broadcasting your deepest identity, your core frequency, the truth of what you believe yourself to be at the most fundamental level. You could stand in front of a mirror every morning saying, "I am abundant," while your quantum signature is silently screaming, "I am lacking." You could visualize your dream life in perfect detail while your electromagnetic field is broadcasting, "I am unworthy of receiving." And reality will not respond to your conscious effort. It will respond to your unconscious transmission. Every single time. This is why some people do everything right. They follow every manifestation protocol. They maintain positive thoughts. They repeat affirmations. And yet the same limiting patterns keep showing up in their lives. They are trying to override their quantum signature with conscious intention, which is like trying to change the ocean's tide by standing on the shore and asking nicely. But when you understand this quantum law, when you learn how to actually shift your core frequency instead of just your surface thoughts, everything transforms. Not gradually, not someday, instantly. Because you are finally working with the actual mechanism through which consciousness creates reality, instead of fighting against it. Now let me show you what has really been happening in your life that led you to this exact moment. You have probably noticed that certain patterns keep repeating. No matter how much personal development or spiritual work you do, the same kind of relationship dynamics appear again and again, just with different people. The same financial ceiling shows up, no matter which opportunity you pursue. The same emotional states return in cycles, even when your external circumstances change. These are not coincidences. They are not bad luck. They are not karmic punishment. These are quantum feedback loops. Your unconscious frequency signature keeps collapsing probability waves into similar outcomes because the signature itself has not shifted. You have been rearranging the furniture while the foundation of the house stays exactly the same. Here is what is actually happening at the quantum level. Something modern physics has begun to reveal, but many spiritual teachings have not fully integrated. Every atom in your body is constantly exchanging particles with every other atom in the universe through quantum entanglement. You are not separate from anything. You are not an isolated consciousness trying to manifest external things. You are the quantum field itself, temporarily experiencing life as an individual. So when physicists say that observation collapses the wave function, they are pointing to something far deeper than simply looking at something with your eyes. It is not your eyeballs that collapse quantum possibilities into definite outcomes. It is your entire being, your complete frequency signature, your total electromagnetic pattern. That is the observation. That is what collapses infinite potential into your specific lived experience. The reason this law remains hidden from most people is that it requires a complete identity shift that most humans will never make. Most people spend their entire lives trying to get things from reality, trying to change their circumstances, trying to attract what they want. But this quantum law reveals something that changes everything. You cannot get what you want. You can only become the frequency that naturally experiences what you want as its baseline reality. This is not wordplay. This is the literal mechanism of quantum manifestation. A radio does not attract music to itself through effort or desire. A radio receives the music that was always broadcasting by tuning its frequency to match the station. You do not manifest your desires by wanting them intensely enough. You experience your desires by becoming the frequency at which those experiences naturally exist. Let me prove this through something you have already experienced but never consciously recognized. Think about a time when something you wanted showed up effortlessly, when synchronicity felt magical, when doors opened without you pushing, when everything just seemed to line up. If you examine that experience honestly, you will notice something very specific. In that moment, you were not desperately wanting the outcome. You were not trying to force manifestation. You had somehow, even if only temporarily, embodied the frequency of already having it, of already being the kind of person to whom such things naturally occur. That was not luck. That was you accidentally aligning with this quantum law. And what I am going to show you is how to do that deliberately, consistently, permanently. The ancient Egyptians understood this principle through their concept of Ka and Ba, the quantum body and the soul body. They knew that physical reality was the densest expression of consciousness, and that by shifting the Ka, the energetic template, the physical Ba would reorganize itself to match. Their entire spiritual technology was designed around modifying frequency at the quantum level. The Vedic rishis described it through the concept of sankalpa, not as wishful thinking, but as a quantum seed intention planted in the unified field. They understood that consciousness at its deepest level is already unified with all possible outcomes, and that manifestation is simply selecting which timeline to experience by matching its frequency. Modern quantum physics has now validated what these ancient systems always knew. The double-slit experiment showed that particles exist in superposition, in all possible states simultaneously, until observation collapses them into a specific state. But the profound implication that most people miss is this: you are in superposition. All possible versions of you, living all possible timelines, exist simultaneously in the quantum field right now. The version of you living your dream life exists. The version of you who has already achieved everything you are working toward exists, not as future potential, not as imagination, as present reality, in the quantum field, where all timelines are happening at once. So manifestation is not about creating something new. It is about shifting your frequency to align with the timeline where you already are, what you are trying to become. It is about quantum jumping from one existing reality to another existing reality, by changing the signature that determines which reality you experience. If this is creating a shift in your awareness, if something inside you is recognizing the truth of what I am sharing, then comment below with this exact phrase: I am the frequency. Do not type it casually. Let it be a quantum declaration, a conscious acknowledgement that you are ready to operate from this level of understanding. Now it is time to move from understanding to application. Because information alone does not change your life. You need activation, integration, Embodiment. Your quantum signature is made of three primary components that most people have never consciously examined. The first is your baseline emotional frequency. This is the default emotional state your nervous system drops back into when nothing particularly good or bad is happening. For most people, this baseline hovers somewhere between low-grade anxiety and mild dissatisfaction. That baseline is quietly broadcasting a frequency of lack, separation, and survival mode into the quantum field, 24 hours a day. The second is your identity structure. This is the collection of unconscious beliefs about who you are and what you deserve, installed in childhood and reinforced through repetition and experience. These beliefs run like invisible software in the background, executing programs you never consciously chose. They define what feels possible versus impossible, natural versus unnatural, safe versus dangerous, and they do it automatically. The third is your coherence level. This is the degree to which your conscious intentions and your unconscious patterns are aligned or in conflict. When coherence is low, your conscious desires and unconscious programming are broadcasting opposite signals, like two radio stations playing on the same frequency. That creates quantum static and scrambled outcomes. When coherence is high, your entire being is sending one clear unified signal that the quantum field can read and respond to with precision. This is where most manifestation teachings fail you. They try to change your reality by stacking new conscious thoughts on top of an unchanged unconscious structure. It is like trying to change what a radio plays by shouting different song lyrics at it. While it is still tuned to the same station, the radio does not care what you shout. It will keep playing what it is tuned to receive. True quantum manifestation requires that you go deeper than thought, deeper than emotion, deeper than surface-level belief, all the way down to the frequency level where your identity actually generates the electromagnetic signature that reality responds to. The process I am about to give you is not a one-time trick. This is not a quick hack. This is a fundamental recalibration of your operating system. It is quantum surgery on the identity structure that has been quietly running your life from behind the scenes. I call it the Quantum Identity Integration Protocol. It works by bringing all three components of your quantum signature into coherence. Phase 1 is frequency archaeology. You must first become conscious of what your current quantum signature actually is. You cannot shift what you are unwilling to see. For the next 7 days, set 3 alarms on your phone at random times. When an alarm goes off, pause whatever you are doing and ask yourself 3 questions. First, what emotion am I feeling right now beneath the story in my mind? Not the thoughts, not the explanation, just the raw emotional frequency in my body. Second, what does this emotional frequency believe about who I am and what is possible for me? If this feeling could speak, what would it say about my identity and my relationship with reality? Third, is this frequency coherent with what I say I want to experience? Or is there a split between my conscious intentions and my unconscious broadcast? Write down what you notice without judgment. You are not trying to fix anything yet. You are illuminating the hidden signature that has been collapsing your quantum possibilities into your current life. Most people never do this level of honest frequency archaeology. They walk through life completely unaware of the signal they are sending, and then wonder why reality keeps repeating itself. You cannot shift a frequency you refuse to acknowledge. Phase 2 is quantum timeline selection. Once you have mapped your current frequency, you must identify the specific timeline you are choosing to align with. This is not visualization in the usual sense. You are not pretending you have something you do not. You are tuning into a parallel reality, where a version of you already lives what you desire. Close your eyes and feel into this. Somewhere in the quantum field, there is a version of you living your ideal life right now, not later. That version has its own frequency signature, its own emotional baseline, its own way of moving through the world. Your task is not to invent that version. Your task is to feel that version. Ask yourself, what does that version of me feel like when they wake up in the morning? What is their default emotional state as they move through their day? How do they hold their body, breathe, make choices, respond to challenges? You are not trying to become that version through force or achievement. You are practicing what it feels like to already be that version. This is critical. The quantum field does not respond to what you want to become. It responds to what you are being now. Spend 20 minutes every morning in this state, not forcing images, not repeating affirmations, simply resting in the frequency signature of the timeline where you already are, who you are becoming. This is not fantasy, this is quantum tuning. You are adjusting your receiver to match an already existing broadcast. Phase 3 is coherence activation. This is where most people fall out of alignment. They connect with the desired frequency in meditation, and then the moment life happens, they snap back to their old default. They create one frequency in their practice, and a completely different one in their daily actions. That split creates the quantum static that blocks manifestation. True transformation means bringing your elevated frequency into ordinary moments. Throughout your day, you will notice the old signature trying to reassert itself through impulses, reactions, and familiar thoughts. If the timeline you are aligning with is based in abundance, then when you feel the urge to obsessively check your bank account in fear, recognize that urge as your old frequency asking to be chosen again. In that exact moment, pause and ask, how would the abundant version of me respond here? Then, even in a small way, choose their response. If your chosen timeline is rooted in confidence and self-worth, then when the familiar pattern of self-doubt rises, see it as old programming defending its territory. Again, pause and ask, how would the already confident version of me move through this? Then embody that, even if your mind still feels wobbly. This is not fake it till you make it. This is quantum timeline navigation. Every small choice either strengthens your connection to your old signature or your new one. And the quantum field is watching. It is reading those micro choices as data. It is responding to the frequency they broadcast. And it is collapsing probabilities into the reality that matches what you consistently choose to be. When you consistently apply this protocol with real devotion, something begins to shift within the first 30 to 40 days. Your baseline emotional frequency starts to change. The state that used to feel normal and familiar begins to feel foreign, heavy, incompatible, and the state that used to feel aspirational and far away starts to feel natural, close, almost obvious. This is not placebo, this is measurable quantum coherence increasing in your electromagnetic field. Studies on long-term meditation practitioners show that consistent frequency work literally changes the electromagnetic patterns emanating from the body. Their heart and brain waves become more ordered, more harmonious, more coherent. You are not imagining a shift. You are creating a biological, neurological, and electromagnetic reconfiguration of your entire system. And when your quantum signature shifts, reality has no choice but to reorganize around it. Not as magic, as physics. Through the exact same mechanism by which observation collapses wave functions into particles, your new frequency becomes a new pattern of observation. It collapses different quantum probabilities into the events, people, and situations you meet. Synchronicities begin to multiply. Opportunities appear from directions you did not anticipate. People respond to you differently, even though you are not trying to change their behavior. Resources seem to flow more easily. Obstacles that once felt solid and immovable begin to dissolve or reroute. This is not the universe rewarding you. This is you finally broadcasting a clear, coherent signal that the quantum field can organize itself around. But there is something you must understand. Your ego will not like this. Your ego mind is going to resist this process intensely, because this work is a direct threat to its existence. Your ego is literally made of your old identity structure, your familiar patterns, your known self. When you start shifting your quantum signature, you are pulling the roots out from under the ego. So the resistance will appear in very predictable forms. It will show up as doubt. This can't be it. Real transformation has to be harder than this. It will show up as skepticism. Quantum physics doesn't really work this way. This is just spiritual fantasy. It will show up as distraction. Suddenly you will feel pulled to do anything other than this practice. You will remember chores, messages, tasks that suddenly seem urgent. It will show up as delay. I'll start this properly next week when things calm down, when I have more time, when I feel more ready. Recognize all of this for what it is, your old frequency fighting for survival. Your current quantum signature is invested in keeping you exactly where you are, because it is familiar, and the nervous system equates familiar with safe. Change at the frequency level feels like death to the identity that has been running your life. This is why only a tiny fraction of people will ever actually live this quantum law. Many will understand it, few will embody it. Most will cling to the comfort of familiar suffering, rather than enter the discomfort of unknown transformation. They want reality to transform while they remain the same. And that violates the core principle of quantum manifestation. But you are not most people, or you would not still be here. Something in you knows you are ready for transformation at the frequency level. Not just surface level upgrades. Something in you recognizes that your current signature has taken you as far as it can. For the timelines that are calling you now, a new signature is required. And when you stay with this long enough, you will reach what I call the quantum threshold. This usually happens somewhere between 40 and 60 days of consistent practice. And when you cross it, you will know. One day you will wake up and realize that the old baseline is simply gone. The background anxiety, the quiet doubt, the sense that something is missing. It is just not there. Not suppressed, not spiritually bypassed. Just silent. Like a radio station that finally stopped broadcasting. In its place is a deep, quiet okayness that does not depend on what is happening. A trust that does not need proof. A felt sense that reality is with you, not against you. This is not bland positivity. This is quantum coherence. Your conscious desires and your unconscious signature have unified into a single stable broadcast. From here, manifestation stops being a technique and becomes a side effect. You are no longer trying to pull opportunities in. They appear in your field because your frequency is a match. You are no longer forcing outcomes. They unfold in alignment with the signature you are holding. You are no longer chasing validation. You are generating your own inner confirmation simply by existing as coherence. Every major spiritual tradition has pointed to this in its own language. The Buddhists call it Buddha nature. The Christians call it Christ consciousness, the death of the old self and rebirth in spirit. The Hindus call it self-realization, seeing that the individual self was never separate from the whole. They are all describing the same quantum event, shifting identification from your local, limited, conditioned self to your non-local, unlimited, unconditioned nature. When that shift happens at the level of frequency, not just thought, the quantum field must reorganize your entire experienced reality to match. So here is your invitation. In the comments, write a single word that names the frequency you are now choosing to embody. Not the frequency of your past, the frequency of your chosen timeline. Let that word be your quantum seed, your declaration to the field. Because the law is simple, reality responds to frequency. Your frequency shapes your experience. And your frequency is no longer accidental once you know this protocol. Now the only question is, will you live it? Or will you leave it as interesting information? Right now, the quantum field is listening. This very moment is an observation point, a wave function about to collapse. Choose your next frequency wisely, because the state you are being in now is already creating the reality you are about to step into next. You are not separate from the law. You are the quantum law in motion.